start without me.
No, we could never do that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the No Faces Comic Chat. Sorry we're a few minutes late. DS sent Mrs. DS to the roof to hold on to the antenna during a lightning storm, and we finally got some signal.
Also known as our home base network is faulty. Located somewhere in an undisclosed location in Kentucky.
Oh, nice. Oh, wait, the home base. That's me. I'm the home base.
Oh,
I don't know about that. I want to first say thank you to all the people watching in the chat, both of you for sticking around with us. It was at 27 before when we first started, but we waited. We have Werewolf by Lunchtime saying, "What's up, people?" And we have Comic Geek McD saying, "Hey, guys." And we have Area 51 Mike saying here as well. So good deal. Thank you for joining us. And if we have more people, let me know. But my live chat always is slow to catch up.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I think that has something to do with YouTube. I don't know what the deal was because all I did was have to go back out and come back in. And the first time I came back in, I could hear one of you. And then when I went out and came back in, then I heard both of you. So it's weird. It's this Google shady network stuff, man.
Shady network of Google. Yeah, to be fair, though, DS hasn't trusted Google since they started suggesting ads to him. And he just found that a little too creepy, so he backed up.
Listen to this. Me and Mrs. DS were sitting on the couch the other night, just talking out of the blue, and I can't remember what we were talking about. Something obscure, like it's something we talk about every 5 minutes. And then I got a notification for an ad on Google popped up, like a banner ad, exactly about that. It's like they were listening through the microphones. I don't trust it, man. I don't trust it.
There you go.
A lot of people don't trust Google. A lot of people don't. So there must be something to it.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, what's to trust?
I'm not there yet, but I'm getting suspicious.
Well, I mean, they're in the information collection and distribution industry. So you have to assume that once you participate in that, you're giving up some level of privacy. Now, it shouldn't always be allowed on a per instant basis. You shouldn't just be listened to at all times. But who knows what I've clicked yes to over the years.
Plus, I wouldn't put it past our benevolent government to have made some partnership with Google where they're able to tap into all the microphones, all the emails, all the chats, all the video cameras, everything. Total surveillance.
Is this a conspiracy chat? I thought I got into the wrong one. I thought this was another chat.
Alex Comic Recorder is in here saying, "Thank goodness you guys are live. Welcome.
Right,
Glad you made it live. Hope you can stick around." Go ahead.
I'm surprised Alex is still up. You know, considering like wasn't he at CE2E, whatever that is?
C2E2.
Yes. C2E2, right.
The long forgotten Star Wars character. He was the trio that got dropped in a pit. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. That was that one that blew up before. Yeah.
And he says he was not there anyway.
He was not there. Oh, okay. I thought because he lives right by there. I thought he was there. Okay.
Well, none of us went to C2E2, but I'll tell a C2E2-ish story right quick, and that's just that I was at my LCS today picking up a long box, but I didn't even look at the comics. I only came for a supply. Picked up a short box rather. Picked up a short box, and the guy was all like sick, acting and tore up. I was like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "Oh, we just got back from C2E2." I was like, "You went all the way from here?" That guy's like, that's hours. It was like 5 hours away or 6.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And they're like, "Yeah, we went to C2E2, get a bunch of books signed and drop off a bunch of books at CGC." And they had bought a bunch of books and they thought they were stolen. They had lost them. And then they got a call this morning from their organizers saying that they were in the lost and found, that someone had found them and returned them. So I think someone just got cold feet trying to steal them and turned them in instead. But that's just my little cynicism.
Well, here's my rule on finding stuff and turning it in. If you find something and you saw the person who dropped it, go hurry up and get it to them. If you know whose it is, get it to them. As a last resort, I'll drop it off at the the quote front desk because I don't trust those people. I'd rather get it to the person directly. And if there's no way to determine whose it was, then you know what? It's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. But, you know, when I was raising my son, when he was much younger, I remember he once came to me and he was holding $1. And I was like, hey, where'd you get that? He said, it's mine. I said, well, yeah, okay, fine. Well, where'd you get it? He said, I found it. I was like, okay, where did you find it? He was like, in your pocket. I was like, oh, okay. now we've narrowed it down.
Damn.
Hey, I was at the mall not too long ago, and I went up to the counter, and there was a $50 bill sitting on the counter, like just sitting there, where on the customer side of the counter, across from the register. And you know, the girl's on her cell phone. She's doing what she's not supposed to be doing at work, probably. And I was like, "Hey, is your drawer short?" And I'm holding the 50 now. I picked it up, and she's like, "No." I'm like, "Are you sure this 50 is not yours?" She's like, "No." And I look around. There's nobody else in the store. I didn't see anybody. Obviously, had just walked away. There was nobody like still like a woman rifling through her purse as she walked out or anything. So I had no idea whose it was. And I was like, "All right." So I used that 50 to buy the purchase, and I kept the change for myself. Is that dishonest? Not really. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I would happily give it back to who it was. And if the register was short, I would have given it to her. So I don't want her to get in trouble. But, you know.
Maybe that was some celestial sign that you should buy new pants.
That's what I was doing. So I used that 50 and I got my $45 in change. And I walked out with $45 and a brand new pair of $5 jeans.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That was trouser karma right there.
That's what it is.
Now, my friend was at a casino, and he put he won a lot of money, and he put it in his sock for some reason. I have no idea why he did that. And we're walking back out at night, and he went out to get it from his sock. He's like, it's not there. I was like, what do you mean, what's not there? He's like, I put all my money in my sock. I was like, why the hell did you do that? He said, I didn't want to get pickpocketed or anything or lose it. Great. So we go back in, and he's scouring the casino looking for this money. All right, you know, you can go back into a store or at a Comic-Con or Lost and Found. You go back into a casino, any money that was on that floor is gone instantly. There's no chance of recovering it. But he went to their customer service or their desk or whatever and said, if anybody turns it in, here's my contact information. You know, he never got a call, obviously. That's a place you don't want to drop money, is a casino. But, you know, that was a lot, too. It was like $1,500.
Wow. That sucks.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know why he did that, but
Joker 68 saying that he leaves his name and number. That's what I do when I find, you know, a sizable amount. If it's $5, I'm not gonna go hunt somebody down for $5. But if it's, you know, a sizable amount like that, then I tell whoever powers it be that I found some money. I'm leaving a name and a number, and if someone can tell me the exact amount that they lost, then it's theirs. And I walk away with the money, and then I try not to spend it. So
yeah, I mean, I'll do my best to get it back to whoever it is. But, you know, when it comes to money, most people are just going to keep it. So if you can't find out who lost it or where it came from, I don't trust giving it to somebody at a front desk at a store.
Oh, I never do that.
But I mean, if I find like a comic or something and I'm at a con and somebody lost a package of graded comics or something, you know, I'll give it to somebody who's remaining at the con that I trust, like one of these dealers that I know that I trust, or, you know, an official at the con is probably more trustworthy than just somebody that works in a department store. That's a different story. I wouldn't just walk out with the books.
I agree.
But the money, I mean, it's tough. If you lose money, I've lost money before. You know what? It's gone. I don't go back. I just, you know, try to not do what I did that time. You know, you lose money, it's gone.
Guys, in the chat here, we just got Pope Cerebus the First. We got Kenny Comic Kid 84 and his cousin. Did you guys see that promo that Comic Kid 84 did?
Oh, the Macho 84.
Macho Head 84. That was hilarious, Kenny. Yeah. I mean, I'm still laughing about that one. Discovery Bay is recovered from C2E2. He's back in the chat. Hey, JB. And of course, Joker 68, our buddy Kurt from over in Michigan. Great to see you in the chat, buddy. Ed D is in, and of course, Alex the Comic Hoarder is here. So,
nice.
Man, okay, well, chat's getting there, guys. Chat's getting there.
Nice. All right. Well, then let's start off with our first and only topic. Although I have a strange suspicion this will either be really quick or really long. I don't know. But first off, I would like DS, if he's technologically capable, to tell us what our name was for the evening.
Oh God, I don't even remember. It was like a tongue twister this time. I appreciate the alliteration, but I couldn't say
alliteration this time.
It was a tongue twister. I don't know, but I remember the last word was funky. I like the last word in it, but I can't remember what it was.
All right, Roger, I know you're always on cue. What do you got?
Man, it's like the short box Shlepers or something.
You guys suck. All right, we are the sticker shocked short box Shlepers. There you go.
Okay. I was close. I got half of it.
Oh, yeah, you got half of it. It was halfway there. So there you go. The sticker shock short box Shlepers.
So he got twisted on it too, right there.
Yeah,
it's easier to type than to say. I promise.
Yeah, really. All right. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we are going to talk about comics that we don't get because they're way too expensive?
Yes. So basically, the way so here's two examples. And the reason that I bring these two is because I ended up owning them, right? But before that, there were both books that I thought were way too expensive and I would never own because I just didn't like where the price was going. It was ridiculous. Even mid-grade copies were out of reach. But then I changed my mind over time. Still didn't get the highest grade, but went ahead and forked out the cash. But there are still some books that I just can't bring myself to pay what the market is asking. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. Books that you just can't bring yourself to buy. It's just too much. So let's start with, I know DS has a list of books that he's excited to tell us about.
Well, I mean, there's a couple, but it's not related to GPA or fair market value or anything like that. But there's some pre-code horror books, especially LB Cole. LB Cole, like top tier, his better pre-code horror books, like Blue Bolt 114 with the underwater zombie, stuff like that. A Mask 1 or 2, something like that. The prices on those have gone way up, and they're not scalpers exactly, but it's a small group of people that we sort of most know each other on Instagram or eBay or whatever that go after these books when they pop up. And there's a couple that are scalping them up as quick as they get listed in auctions or eBay or Instagram, and they instantly jack the prices way up. And if they can get somebody to buy it, it keeps that vicious cycle going. And I've discussed about purchasing several of these over the last, I don't know, since I've been on Instagram. Let's just say last 3 or 4 months, and the prices are sky high. It's like top retail dollar plus a couple hundred, and I'm not going to pay that much for these books. There's plenty of other books out there, and I don't mind paying for a book, but here's what I do. If a GPA is not helpful or you can't find your book or it's a little harder to find, I make a list of like 10 of those type of books that are tough to find and overpriced or expensive, or people are always jacking the prices up on them. And I will just wait for one of those on my list to show up that dips sort of under that jacked up price curve, and I'll buy that one. And over time, all of these will show up. But there's particularly a Blue Bolt 114. There's been several of them out there, and one sold at an auction for like $430 a point. And so all these guys jacked up their prices on the ones they had to $430 a point. So, one of them's got a 4.0. Now he wants $1,800 for it. Somebody's got a 3.5. He wants $1,650 for it. And I'm not paying that price for it. It's not worth that much just because one went to auction and the only other ones available, they're jacking the prices up according to that. Doesn't mean that that's what the book's worth. And I think both of them still have those books and they haven't sold them. So I'll go back in another month or two and hit them up again. But yeah, sometimes books shoot up and then people buy them and jack up all the prices, and then all the ones you see out there all of a sudden are jacked up. House of Secrets 92 is another one. I want one of those just so I can have it before I sell it for a profit as an investment down the road. But again, people are listing like 4.0s and 4.5s for, you know, $1,000, $1,200. I'm not paying that. That's too much. And I don't know what the GPA is on it, but a 4.0 of a House of Secrets 92 is, you know, a $600 book, something like that probably to me. $650. I'm not paying much more than that for it. And honestly, I just want it because I'd like to have it for a little bit, but it's a good investment book. So I like to get good investment books, hold them for a little bit, and then sell them. And that one I want for a good investment book. So those are a couple books that I'm not paying a certain price. And here's the deal. When I have my collection is almost complete and there's only one more book out there that I need on my list. I have everything except one book that I need, and it pops up at an inflated price, I'll buy it. But until then, there's thousands of books I want. I can just pick the ones that pop up that are what I consider reasonably priced for what they are.
That's fair, I think. Here is, let's see if we can get this to work real quick. So here is the book that DS is talking about. Let's see. This is Blue Bolt 114.
Oh, nice tech usage there.
Yeah. Nice. I'm impressed, man. Yeah, that's the one.
So what about this book makes you, other than it's LB Cole, of course, but what about this book just really does it for you?
Well, I mean, it really does it for me. There's, you know, it's not a top 15 pre-code horror book, but that's probably a top 25 book. I mean, it's definitely a top tier, top flight PCH book. It's an awesome art. It's my favorite artist. I think that the cover is phenomenal. It's not easy to find. I like that whole title. I've got 4 in that title. And so, yeah, I want it. But recently that book has been on fire, and I'm not buying the book when it's on fire. And people refuse to deal, and they don't want to come down. And I sort of don't blame them. You know, I'm not crying foul. I'm just crying. So, you know, it's a great book for the genre, and I want it. But, you know, in the meantime, I'll pick up other ones. But when you start getting up to what I do is when a book comes up that I want and it's a certain price and that's the market rate, people are paying whatever for it. You know, say that one's $1,800 for a 4. What else can I get for $1,800 that I will be satisfied with? There's a lot of stuff out there for $1,800 that's top notch. You can get a lot of stuff for $1,800. So all of a sudden, $1,800 for that book is not such a good deal, because I can get. I mean, both of the books I'm showing here were I paid $900 for the 2 of these. I could get 4 of these quality books versus that one. You know, 4 of these quality books is better than that one.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, I figured it was this Cole Shark here, this LB Cole Shark.
Well, that is on my list as a shark cover, you know.
Yep.
There's only 2 LB Cole Sharks I don't have now because I just picked up another one today. So he only has 4 that I know of. There's that one I don't have, and then there's a Catman issue. I think it's Catman 30 or 31. I can't remember, but that one's got the underwater scene with Kitty and Catman and the 2 sharks, and that's a shark one too. But I've got the other 2. So yeah, there's a lot about that cover I like.
I like the fish. Notice the fish are like, it's like piranha. They have like these sharp teeth and they look menacing. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
They have like this, like the scowl on their face. I don't know what's more menacing, the shark or those little piranha or whatever they are. They actually look like angelfish, but with teeth.
That's
yeah, I mean,
cool.
it's a wicked cover.
It's a wicked good cover. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you got to think, what can you buy with, what else can you get for the amount of money that somebody's asking for a particular book? And if it's a House of Secrets 92 and a 4.0 for $1,000, what else can I get for $1,000? Is there other stuff that I want more, or that's a better addition to my collection for $1,000 than a 4.0 HOS? Yes, yeah, there are.
It's a prioritizing game, like you said. It's a prioritizing game, and you know, and that's the long and the short of it. And now this chat, you know, topic is we can take it many ways. Like you're taking it one way I didn't even think about, but you know, if you have that cover. If you see that book and it's available and you happen to have the money, it's very tempting. It's very tempting, even if you have other priorities, because you just don't see it that often.
Yeah, I'm on a buying hiatus. and then I came across a book on my want list. So all of a sudden that ends that immediately, because that's one of my only caveats to my buying stoppage for a month or so, was that if I saw a book on my 2019 want list, or if I was buying a book with the sole intent of flipping it or monetizing it, then those were allowed. But nothing for the PC. Nothing for the PC unless it's on my grail list. So, and then of course, 2 days
exceptions
later,
in there, Bub. I mean, no, if it's my grail list. Oh, but if it's one that I can flip. Oh, but if it's one that I've been looking for that I can it's a lot of exceptions there, Bub.
Yeah, spoken like a true obsessive collector.
Yeah,
look, it's really not that many exceptions, because really what I'm saying is I'm not buying any small books for my collection at this point. It's only going to be a big book that I'm going to hold off to buy for another month and a half to 2 months. And really that's because I've got that Supergirl 23 coming back from CGC in that span of time. So when that comes back, if I sell it, then the buying hiatus is over. And then I can spend it all if I want.
Clear as mud to me. Clear as mud to me. I don't know about DS, but that's clear as mud to me. That's denial all the way through. But okay, Bob, whatever you say.
I haven't bought a book in 3 days. I feel pretty good about it.
3 days? Oh my God. My Lord. I mean, is there air? You have an air bubble or something around you? Because
technically I have bid on books, but I haven't bought one. I don't know if that.
Yeah, not through lack of trying.
Let's get back in the chat. We got a few more guys coming in here. We got Seawood. I don't know if I mentioned him. He's also was at CE2 C2E2. I can't say that.
Easy for you to say.
And man, they had Comic Core was hilarious all weekend. By the way, they were just on fire. Ed D, Big Lion Cat is in here. Meow. Lawrence, my buddy from the Go-To Geeks, is in here. Count Van Strange, the figure and statue master, is in here.
Nice.
Let's see who else is in here.
I love when he poses the figures outside, like in the snow and stuff.
Yeah, I love great. That. And the perspective he has. Yeah, man.
I'll just jump in for a second just to say that I know it sounds like I watch a lot of everyone's videos. I do. I just don't comment on all of them. So there's a lot of people that come in and out of the chat here. I do try and support your channel. I watch them driving or on TV a lot, and they're both good places to not be able to comment. But I usually do. I can click like on it, but that's about it. So I do watch a lot of y'all's videos. I just don't comment as much as I ought to.
Yeah, me too. Same thing. Yeah, Bitbiter's in here. Bitbiter 0101.
He's local to me. We've met.
Oh, he is. Oh, unlucky him.
Yeah, really.
Rod the Rican, my brother from Florida, is in here. Nice. Who else is in here? Prowler 671 had a really nice video the other day. Who else here? Simon Comics is in. He also had a great throwback Thursday. Okay. I guess we're about caught up. Alex, I already talked about him. He's on a buying hiatus after today's purchase, maybe for a year.
I can't wait to see what he got.
But scroll down and he's saying he's on a jog and he just found a new comic shop he didn't know about. So that hiatus might end before our show tonight. So
you're in the bub world of hiatuses. I see. Oh, Nervous is Fat is here. Cool. Welcome. I don't think I've seen him in a while over here. And hey, our buddy from Florida is here also. My buddy, my old hunting buddy, Deadpool 2323. How you doing, man?
Nice, welcome.
Yeah, he's on the night shift now, and I guess he's not happy about that.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him on. I think he's not working every Monday, but he's working like half the Mondays.
Yeah,
so we're gonna try and catch him on.
He's got a family, too. That great family, and man, you need to spend time with those kids, man. They're great kids that he's got over there.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So the other book that DS was talking about, see if I can get this sent over, is this book here, and that's Mask Number 1, also by L.B. Cole. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, but that one's been relegated to the back burner probably for years because it's hard enough to find, and the recent price of one in the most recent Comic Connect auction, I think it was a 6.0. No, it was a 4.0, and it sold for over 7,000.
Oh my goodness!
No, wait, it sold for 13,000.
What?
It was a 6.0, and it sold for 13,000. Why?
Why is that? Yeah,
I don't know. That's what I'm saying,
like
dude.
it.
I'm not paying.
I'm not saying I don't like it, but
oh man,
look, that's a rock solid 1,000-point book. Okay, 4.0 for $4,000. I would go 45 or even 500 if I had it, but a 6.0 for 13,000, it's insane.
No,
so
that's double what it should be going for.
So that's
goodness.
backburnered for a long time. I'm not messing with that.
Yeah,
but that's like the ultimate LB Cole Grail right there. That's the number one.
Wow.
But then you got to think, for 13,000, what else can you get?
4 cars.
I mean, you can get a ton of stuff for 13,000. You can get all sorts of killer stuff. Yeah, you can get an AF-15. You can get all kinds of crazy stuff. And that book starts to pale in comparison to some of the other $13,000 books. But I don't have ever 13,000 to buy a book. I mean, it doesn't matter. That's in a different ballpark now. So I'll put that next to my Suspense 3 on the back burner.
Okay. Well, I like the cover too, but I'm with you there. There's no way I could even come close to spending that for that. I can't really even think of a book that I would spend that much on at all. It would be real tough. I would just constantly be thinking of all the other multiple books I could get for that same amount,
Yeah, I mean, the most I've ever spent on a book that I ever had, and it was because I sold some big stuff. I saved, I really busted my hump to get a huge pile together for a con, was $6,000. I spent $6,000 on a book. Wow. That's the most ever, and that was just a bunch of circumstances coming together to make it work. I sold the Hulk 181, ASM 129, a bunch of other stuff. ASM 238, a whole slew of stuff. So I had a huge pile of cash, which I bought some other stuff with, and with the remaining 6, I bought a book. That will probably never happen again for a long time, but 13 is not even, so I couldn't even plan for that. I mean, we got to be really well off. And not even then, you got to be well off and have a romantic partner who doesn't care, which is going to be rare. Do you know what I mean? You got to be well off enough that your wife or whatever family members are not going to care that you're spending that much on a book.
Well, if
that's
you're
a
really
whole other area, man.
If you're really well off, she may not even notice. 13,000 maybe.
She doesn't care.
You buy her a Lamborghini and you buy a mask, and big deal. It all washes out at the end. But that's crazy money. Crazy.
Right. That's like Lamborghini, Jaguar, like high-end Jaguar type status symbol purchase.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Listen, a good trend here is happening in the chat. Big Lion Cat 646 is subbing up some people. Let's do the same. Let's sub up everybody in the chat. We got 25 in the chat. Awesome chat, guys. You guys are really talking and communicating in there. Let's make sure we sub up everybody in here because they're supporting us and we want to support them back.
Cool. Thank you. And Roger, what books are you, or is there any others, DS, that you've got hanging on the back of your throat you can't swallow?
I mean, not really. It's just basically top tier pre-code horror LB Cole books that the prices get jacked up on. I'll just go find other stuff. I'm not paying completely jacked up prices on them. I have a feeling of what they're worth, and what I'm willing to pay on them is a fair price. I'm not trying to get some super deal on them, but prices get jacked up when something's hot, and I'll get something else. And lately, it's been some of the LB Cole stuff, which is unfortunate because that's my favorite stuff. But I'll get it eventually.
I'm with you.
I like that confidence. Yeah. Yes, he's laser focused, man. It's like there was no doubt and no vacillation in there. It was all, I'm gonna get it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, all that stuff will be mine at some point, but it's just I don't know which direction the path goes. I just sort of have to come up to the next turn and see where it goes. So you can't plan exactly the path, but I know the direction I'm going in, and I'll just follow the twists and turns where it goes. But I'll stay on the path. So that's sort of my analogy for it.
Yeah,
right. That's good.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair.
Roger, what have you got? You just can't pull the trigger on because the trigger is just too heavy.
Yeah, there's really 3 that, I mean, this will probably never happen, right? Let me just say that off the bat, unless unless some miracle occurs, because you know me, I don't like to pay anywhere near fair market value for comics, because to me, there's not a lot of difference between a key and a non-key, right? That's just me, right? But there are two that most people are going to be familiar with. And the first one is the one right before this one. Okay. ASM 129. Am I focused in there? Yeah. And that's because when I first started collecting comics and I went to that 7-Eleven, this was on there. And so I missed it by 1 month. And that sometimes grinds on me a little bit, because I do like the Punisher character, and I have all his appearances through the Bronze Age except for the first one. So that's one that I'm hoping one day I'll go to some estate sale and I'll find in a box somewhere for, $50 or something like that, but so that's number one. And that comic has just gone crazy. I've had opportunities to buy it for $30, $40 in the past, and I thought that was too much. And now I'm kicking myself, for leaving it, conventions back in the 90s, I'm talking. But anyway, so that's one. And the other one, I don't think Rayman the Silencer Man is in the chat, but he knows which one that is. And that is the one, that is the one before this one. Similar situation. When I started collecting Iron Man, actually this one I got off Deadpool 2323, but I did have this copy in the past. I just lost it somehow. And again, I'm not paying anywhere near what they're asking for that first thing. There's no way I'm paying. So again, I'm hoping that I can, find one, for, cheap, for me, cheap. $50 for me is a lot of money to pay for a comic, by the way, but I'll splurge for these two, Of course, about Marvel Spotlight 5, but thanks to Bub, I have one here that I really love, and it'll hold me until I can be very patient now. I can wait 10 years and be very happy with the copy that I have. So that one is kind of off the list. And the only other one, and DS knows this one, and that is, I really have always wanted a copy of Witchcraft 5.
Yeah, the Kelly Freeze cover.
The Kelly Freeze cover. That has mesmerized me for 40 years.
Yeah, and that's on my list too.
That's on your list, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think a low grade one went the other day for like $1,000. And
well,
that's just not happening.
There's a few low grade ones out there right now of that, and here's the thing: when books like that become a little more known and a little more visible, and they show up a few times, then people dig and find them and put them out there, and more of them show up. So it's sort of ironic or counterintuitive that the more rare and awesome a book is, the more interest it generates, and the more it will show up. So you'll have opportunities for that one, because it's old enough that there's plenty of low grade ones out there that'll pop up. I don't know about $50, but 150 to 200, you can score a complete low grade copy of that if you just keep an eye out.
I am, but I mean, right now money is kind of tight with, we still have our house in Florida, which hasn't sold. And as I told DS, I'm now a handyman around the neighborhood. So I'm making $20 an hour cleaning people's driveways and repairing roofs and things like that. So money is tight, but hopefully when I'm more gainfully employed, I'll be able to, splurge here and there, my birthday, Christmas, things like that.
Yeah, I think you've got a good shot at the Witchcraft. I don't see you doing so well with that plan for ASM 129 or Iron Man 55, just because even somebody who doesn't know what it is going to know it's a superhero book, and they're going to ask somebody, and anybody that's into comics at any level is going to look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's a big book. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This could slide under the radar through a yard sale.
Is this the one you guys are talking about?
Yeah, that's it.
I've never seen this book before. So what's the big deal about this book?
just an awesome cover. It's a painted cover by Kelly Freas. And he didn't do a lot of comic stuff, but he was more well known in the pulp arena. He did a lot of pulp stuff. But that's just, he did very few comic related artwork, and that's one that he did, and that's it. That's his best awesome work, and it's just a phenomenal cover, and it's hard to find. It's just an awesome cover. It's painted cover. It's just kick ass.
I mean, look at the detail of every one of those bones building up, and then the lady with the very textured look, and look at that hairdo. That really like almost like it's like free floating hairdo.
Yeah, and the glowing eyes on that dude.
Look at the ghoul and his eyes. How one is focused a little bit more to the left than the other.
Yeah. I like how the skull's staring at her too.
And right,
nearest to him.
And like DS says, Kelly Freas, I believe he did like Mad Magazine, things like that. Maybe I'm misthinking it, but he did magazine horror or funny stuff like that too. But but he's right. He did a lot of pulp stuff. But this is really the only Kelly Freas cover that I know of.
Yeah, so same here.
Very rare to find somebody of his talent to do comic books.
It looks fantastic. I love the lady in there. She's drawn just right. It really is cool. And the ghoul, of course, it's awesome.
It's just it's tough to find, and it's just phenomenal. But a lot of the stuff that doesn't show up very often, more casual or more entry level people who get into the genres of some of this golden age stuff, they're unaware that this stuff even exists. And then, one or two, unless you have the Gerber guides or you've just been into it for a while. But there's always new people coming in and going out of the hobby. So the people that are coming in or casual or just getting started, they don't even know this stuff exists. And then you'll see one or two pop up on a big auction, and people will see it, and then people will start looking for it. And then when people buy a lot or somebody will have it, they'll throw it out on eBay, and it's like a self-generating thing. The more people see it, the more people see it. The more show up, the more come out of the woodwork. And that's what's happening with this book. There was a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I was aware of that book just from pictures from researching, but I had never seen one for sale. Now they're popping up for sale. There was one sporadically, but I think there's like 4 available for sale right now, 3 or 4. That's an insane number for a book like that, really.
I know, but man, that is insane. You're right.
Yeah, there's one in the Comic Link auction that ends in like 4 or 5 days or something, but that's like a 5.0. That's probably going to be like a $2,200 book.
I took that off my watch list. I was like, there's no way I'm getting it.
Once it gets to a certain point, you're over it, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. And I do that because otherwise it hurts to see, it go. So I just like out of mind, forget it.
Yeah, a 5.0 on that book, that's probably a $2,500 book or something.
Yeah.
But that's a high grade. It's a rock solid copy of it. So
no, it's beautiful.
There's some beater copies that show up. There's a couple beater copies out there, and you can score one of those. The ASM 129 will be a little tougher.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say that again. This is I'm proffering my answers to the question. Oh, there it is. Right. But am I going to feel like incomplete without them? Heck no. No. But I feel very happy with my collection. You guys know that. I love all my comics, and I'm very invested into them. But if I had my druthers, and all else sort of falls into line, those would be the 3 priorities.
And we have to remind ourselves that there could be people listening or watching on Rewind or whatever that aren't familiar with why some of these books are so important or why we want them so badly. So remind everyone why Iron Man 55 is a book on your list.
Well, it is the first appearance of Thanos and a lot of the Titans and so forth. But again, to me, it's not that aspect of the comic that makes it on my want list. It's that I have a run of Iron Man from the 30s on to the end of his initial run, but that one's missing because it's just so darn expensive. So it's a roadblock, and it's one that I've had opportunities to get in the past, but because of my cheapskateism at that, I didn't pull the trigger. I mean, I had a chance to get that for like $5 at some point, and I didn't because I'd rather get $5 books, So that is one reason. So it's more of a my personal issue than anything that was present in that issue. But what makes it expensive, obviously, is the first Thanos. And everybody knows ASM 129, first Punisher. And again, I just missed that when I started collecting. I was a little bitty bit guy, and the first one that was on the rack was 130. So
yeah, and I think that Iron Man 155 is one of Starlin's masterpieces.
It is.
For Starlin fans. It's also the first appearance of Drax, who, since the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, everybody knows who Drax is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Thanos connection is the biggest thing about that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that book has sort of plateaued and even dropped slightly since the movies with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thanos have come out. But it's still a pretty high up bronze key that it's never going to be cheap. So you might have to bite the bullet on that one, Roger.
Well, like again, I doubt I will. I mean, because I know myself. I mean, I'm gonna say, am I gonna pay? I don't mean, what is a 3.0 going for? Like $300? Is it 100 a point or so for that book?
It's probably a little under that, but you could probably keep an eye out and get one for like $275 or $250. I bet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably about right.
I don't. The most I've ever paid for a comic was $100, and that was the last very rare 30-cent variant that I needed. And I hemmed and hawed for days doing that. Okay. And that is a project which is the nearest and dearest to my heart. So it'd have to be a perfect situation where I was like very euphoric that day. And I happened to have, a lot of money in my PayPal that I would go for it. But otherwise, forget it.
That's fair. I know that feeling, and I don't like that feeling, but I still have that feeling. And it drives me crazy when I can't, when I'm looking at a book and I think that anytime I think, man, if I had just bought this a year ago or when I first saw it, of course, is the easiest thing, but then it wouldn't be out of reach, because I'm always looking at my budget as something that is fluctuating, and I'm not quite sure if what I'm spending the money on now is the best possible investment I could be making in my collection. But you got to spend it on something. And so, and sometimes I've chosen correctly and sometimes I haven't. So
yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sort of my approach to this sort of stuff. It's instead of trying to find things at a cheaper level and saving the money, I try to find ways to generate more money by flipping things, which takes a lot more work and a lot more outlay and a lot more time and effort and whatever. And there's a lot of failure involved in that as well. But I try to, I'm not, some of the books I collect, I'm not gonna find them anywhere for cheap. So I need to figure out a way to get money so I can get those. And then I'll get the cheapest of them maybe. But I'll just try to flip books on a regular basis to try to generate enough so that when I'm spending it, it doesn't feel like I've been spending money out of my paycheck the whole time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's sort of how I justify. Because honestly, if I couldn't justify spending this amount of money on some of these books if it was just money that I was earning at work. But I flip books and try to work that money into a bigger and bigger pile so that when I spend it, it's sort of money that's been created from flipping books anyway. So that makes it easier to spend. So that's sort of how I approach some of this stuff.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, I think. I mean, that obviously will get you to a bigger book later. So kind of have to pace it.
Hey, Pope says, DS, ever thought gigolo?
Hey, anything that could earn some more money for comics, I would be open to.
Oh my God!
Oh, I've considered so many options to generate money for comics, but I can't stray too far from just flipping. So, but also another thing I do is I used to not want to sell anything. Every time I bought a book, even with the intention of selling it, I always would keep it, and I never wanted to sell anything out of my collection ever. I never wanted to get rid of anything. And over time, I've been able to let go of some things, begrudgingly at first, but after you can get over that and get rid of some things and get money and get better things or things you want more as your tastes change, as your collecting evolves, it becomes very easy for me to let go of things now. Like I have books that are grails to me, which if something else came up, I would have no problem selling one of those to get this. You know what I mean? So You can always sell stuff you have. You can always get it again later. But what I found, if I can part with something where I say, well, I can always get that later, then when the later comes, I don't want to get it, then, maybe it was good to use that money for something else instead of keeping something in my collection that is not valuable enough to me that I would want to re-get. So, yeah, I sell stuff that I even own for my PC along with flipping.
That makes sense. I have a couple of books probably that I wouldn't mind selling out of my PC that are, I guess, bigger books to someone else, but I would have to have the other book first. Like, I'd want to know that this is a for sure thing before I started freeing up money to get it, Like, I'd basically want to buy it on credit, and then I got 30 days to to make the bill, to pay that bill is probably how I'd want to do it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It feels like you're a little exposed, or you're like a little naked when you get rid of it, and then there's that gap before you pick up the next thing. There's that moment. There's that time in between, that gap where you're exposed, and it's you feel sort of insecure about it because you got rid of the book and you don't have the next one yet. Like for upgrades, I will sometimes keep the lower grade until I upgrade and then get rid of it because I don't want to be without it at any point. But sometimes I'll get rid of the lower grade. If I'm sure this is not the copy I'm satisfied with, then that's not the copy I'm satisfied with. So I will get rid of it and I will sever ties and move on and try to pick up the upgrade. That doesn't always work, but if a book does not meet my qualifications for a PC, then it's not going to meet it ever. So why not sell it and try to get the upgrade even if you miss it?
That makes sense.
Kurt, Joker68 wanted to know if I got the Marvel Spotlight 5, so I figured I'd show it here. Yeah, this is the low grade copy that Bub found for me. It almost looks like the cover is there because the motorcycle on that first page almost blends into the motorcycle on the cover, but it's missing this chunk right here. But otherwise, the whole Ghost Rider is on there, so I'm pretty happy with that.
I like it.
Yeah, that's all right. And if you're going to be missing a chunk from that cover, that's the corner to be missing it from, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's the bottom left. I mean, and it does fade. It's sort of like the Hulk 1, where the remaindered copies, you still see the title in the same spot.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I saw one the other day, and they had cut out the Ghost Rider logo here. Not the logo, the avatar here, and that looks so odd because you could see the page underneath it. Why would somebody do that? The whole cover was there, and they just cut out this.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw somebody was selling a bunch of Silver Age Thor comics at one point. I don't remember if it was eBay or somewhere else, but all of the Thor characters from the covers were precisely cut out, almost like somebody was doing a scrapbooking or some type of craft project. So the book was complete and everything, except Thor was missing from the cover, and it's like an X-Acto around the entire image, like he was.
Wow.
Bizarre,
wow.
But I mean, of course, that ruins it with Thor is completely missing from the cover.
Absolutely. For me, there's really only one book, and it'll be in the thumbnail tomorrow, but it's this one. That's really the only book that I really want it, but I'll probably end up buying it because it's not ridiculously out of reach, but it's a little more than I want to spend for this book. My problem with this book, and I'll show another one here in a minute, which is actually very affordable, but I just won't pull the trigger on it. So, so my problem with this book is that I don't find it to be a really first true key, like a first appearance.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I enjoyed Harley Quinn in the which, by the way, I'm not okay. So a lot of things hurt me for this book. One is it's not a first true appearance of Harley Quinn because she was first in media, and we're not talking about advertisements. She was a well-developed and fleshed out character in the cartoon, right? And Batman the Animated Series. Secondly, I'm not a Harley Quinn fan. Now, I am a fan of this Harley Quinn, and I'm a fan of the Harley Quinn that was in that show. But what they've done with the character since then, especially in the comics and in the movies and stuff, I don't get it, and I don't like it, and it's nothing about it that interests me. So that's another thing that hurts me buying this book. One of the things that helps me to buy the book is that I have an almost complete run of the Batman the Animated Series comic book. So this represents, like yours does, Roger, a hole in that run.
Yeah.
Which irks me, So like when DS talks about, oh, if I never get it, I won't care. Well, if I never get it then I'm going to have a hole in my run for the whole time, So it feels like an eventual purchase. And so I hate seeing the price slowly rise, It's one of those books I honestly hope to stumble upon this book in a dollar bin. And I know that that's not likely to happen, but that's kind of my big hope for this book. Another book that,
what kind of grade are you looking for on that book? Like, what kind of grade for your PC do you want?
Reader copy.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a Second and Charles near you, Bub?
No.
Oh, because Collector Dude found one 2 weeks ago in Second and Charles. Somebody turned it in.
Yeah, I don't have any of those near me. I had a Books A Million sub lease or whatever. Then they quit selling comics altogether, but they had some used comics. And really, my little town, or the town that I work in, even it's not even my town. It's 2 towns over. It is very hip to comics that are expensive. Like this comic would never fly under the radar. Everybody in that town is looking for this comic in a bin. So it would never just go unseen, as I would assume most places are like that anyway. Yeah. But in this town, there's I don't know, per capita, there's so many Facebook sellers and people selling comics on Facebook, and they just run through the whole town and clear it out about daily. They buy dollar books and they sell them for $3 to $5 online. That's what they do all day long. Wow. I just don't want to spend my nights doing that. So, but anyway, so that to me, this is one of those. Another one, which I don't have it queued up, but it's the similarly Transformers #1. And that book, you could get that book for like $20-25, but I'm not gonna buy that book for $25 when it's not a real first appearance of any kind. So, oh yeah. Hey, welcome, Deadpool 2323.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Do you have one you wanted to share with us, or a couple you want to share with us?
Oh man, there's so many. There's so many I could share with you guys, but
while he's figuring out when he's getting loaded in and figuring out the audio, yeah, Bub, that book is a perfect book that you can get some small money, buy something, flip it, and you can flip your way up so that when you do pay the big money for that book, it's money that you've generated from flipping, so that it's almost sort of free if you justify it like that. It's not money that you saved from working hard at your job. It's money that you've created by flipping some books with the goal of getting that. So I think that's how I would go about getting a book like that.
That's more or less what I'm going to try and do. And as a side note, I very rarely get accused of working hard. So.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
And ETA Nick, and I think also Bueller is doing something similar, where they're starting with a small amount to try to flip their way up to a grail, and they're going to sort of document their path on that. That's something that I do to get money to buy a book like that. That's never going to be under the radar. That's always going to be expensive. So, those two channels they're documenting their attempts to do something similar. So,
my hope is that because the book looks like a kiddie book, that I could find it at a yard sale or at a flea market or something like that, where someone just like, oh, here's just another kid's book, looks like a coloring book, and they toss it for $1 somewhere. That's my hope with this book.
It's happened before. It's happened before. People have found it. Yeah.
Well, I probably.
Can you guys hear me?
Of it?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you, buddy.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm having difficulties with my computer. I apologize about that.
Several years ago, when I didn't really know what it was, because I used to go through a lot of boxes at a lot of thrift stores and flea markets and stuff like that. I wouldn't have known what it was at the time, probably. So I've probably come across it and didn't even know what it was, because it's not something I was into and didn't know about before, really. So, but yeah, it's out there. I mean, you'll find it one way or another.
Yeah, I just don't want to pay. I found it before. It's the book that I've probably passed on buying the most at conventions because they're all over the conventions. Last one or actually 2 times ago, I had my choice of 3 different ones within like a 4-table span, and still didn't pull the trigger.
Well, let me ask you this: if you had $1,000 given to you, what would you rather buy, that or Supergirl 23? If I just gifted you $1,000 and said you can pick one of these 2 books, which would you buy?
Neither. I'd save my money and get a Daredevil 1 for $1,400. That's what.
All right, yeah, because you know where I'm going with that. So whatever, dude. You know, that's fine. I would probably do that too, but but my point is, think about the Supergirl 23, and I mean, there's books out there that
I'd rather have the Supergirl 23. And the reason I'd rather have the Supergirl 23 is because that book, there's no way you were talking about getting rid of books or selling books that you knew you could get back whenever you wanted, even if you had to spend a little bit more to get them.
Right.
But that Supergirl 23, I spent $2 on that book. So I'm never going to be able to just spend $2 and get that book again. It's always going to be a huge Grail purchase to buy that book, and I would never spend that kind of money on that book. So once I sell that book,
is that the Adam Hughes cover?
Yeah, you'll never own it again. I see.
Yeah.
I guess it comes down to if you find for $2 a book that's worth a lot, but is not personally a Grail to you, that's much easier to flip for the huge profit to buy something you want, as opposed to that which you found for cheap, but it is a Grail that you just never were going to be able to get, and now you have it. So
that book could have been drawn by Art Germ or Jenny Frizen or any of the number of artists that I find to be slightly at least overrated, then it had already been sold.
Knights of Old is not sure what that is, and I don't blame them because I didn't know until the YouTube community. But bring up a picture. But it's pretty much the Adam Hughes Grail. If you're into Adam Hughes stuff, that's like the top Grail, I think.
Yeah, I think the most.
There's a interesting story about that book actually. I actually interviewed Adam Hughes a couple years ago. He said I don't have a picture of that book, but he says that's his favorite. He says that's his favorite cover he ever did because it's the one cover that came out exactly the way he envisioned it.
Wow, that's amazing. Most artists never get to that point.
So
he says it's the only one.
Wow.
There's the book that. So I've got it. I found it for $2 in 9.8 condition or better. I mean, it could almost be a 10. It's absolutely perfect. Sent it to CGC within 2 days. I bought it on Saturday. Had it in the mail on Monday to CGC, and I even paid for the pressing and cleaning just in case, because I didn't want there to be any doubt that it would come back a 9.8. So I'll be devastated because the only thing I don't know is if it's complete, because I wasn't going to open it.
You didn't even open it, right?
I wasn't even going to open it. So, I fortified it, put it in a top loader, packaged a bunch of foam bricks around it, and I sent it. So, the only thing I don't know, it might be incomplete. It could be centerfold missing. Who knows? But other than that, I doubt it too. Other than that, it should be perfect. And it better come back at 9.8 or I'm canceling my CGC subscription and I'll just pout for a while. But yeah, so that's the book. Wow. So that book,
it's honestly one of the few modern covers that I just absolutely love. There's just nothing bad someone in my could say about that cover.
Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that, Deadpool, because one of my thoughts was that now this book sells from anywhere from 1,000 to 1,400 in a CGC 9.8, but I haven't seen too many in the new shiny cases, new labels, and everything, and it's just looking awesome, So one of my thoughts was, instead of selling it on eBay and losing like 13% or something crazy like that, that maybe I could find another collector that had multiple books that would trade me a few books in on it and just do a trade. So that's one of my ideas is instead of selling it, I'll just keep it in my collection for a while and it'll be on the trading block for anyone that had a few major keys that I was really looking for.
Yeah, and the thing about that too is,
I can't hear.
I know.
So
you can't hear me, guys.
Exit and come back in.
I can hear you, Roger. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I hear fine. I guess just DS can.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave and come back because I don't.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
The thing about that is sometimes going with a lower grade copy, but trading the higher grade copy, and you get a lower grade, bunch of other keys that you want. Sometimes that's the way to go, right? Because like me personally, I don't need a 9.8 anything. Is it nice to have? Yeah, sure. Who wouldn't want it? But you know, I put up my Amazing Spider-Man 9 here. I bought that because it was affordable to me. I thought it presentably. I really don't care so much what it comes back as. I mean, I'm getting it to get graded, and I'm thinking it's going to be around a 5. Anything under a 5, I'll probably be like, well, I didn't expect that. But a 4.5 is fine. But if it came back a 9.0 and I could get another copy that looked just like this in a 5.0, I'd have no problem trading that out and to get, say, a first appearance of Black Widow or a first appearance of Hawkeye, something else I really want. I have no problem downgrading a book to trade for other books, and especially if they're books that are harder to find, or maybe they're financially not viable at that moment for me. So that's always an option too to look at. Is like maybe somebody has an 8.0. I don't know what an 8.0 in that book would go for, but maybe the reason it's an 8.0 is it's got something wrong with the back cover. So you trade your 9.8 and you get that 8.0 plus you get your, you know, whatever other books you want in the grades that you want, you know? Yeah. So those are always options too. And then you still have the book. You can still look at the book. You can still be happy that you have that book in your collection, but you have these other books too, because that opened up a door that you might not have thought was available.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a low grade collector at heart and in collection. So, so for me, the 9.8 is not for me. I don't really care. I was happy with it raw, honestly. So if I was determined to keep it all throughout, I would have just kept it raw and not worried about it. But where it's worth, the price difference is like $400 between a 9.6 and a 9.8. So if I have a book that looks like a 9.8, might as well go ahead and get it preserved as a 9.8. And then later on, if I want to sell it or trade it, then I will, you know?
And I told you, I'm not me, I'm not really big into CGC, but when you got that, what was the first thing I told you? Send it. Because that is one you definitely don't want anything to happen, and it's very liquid when it's in a CGC case, and you can do whatever you said. Like you can either use it as bait for other comics, or you can do a partial trade and money. But regardless, you got $2 into it plus the CGC fees, so you're going to make a killing. What if it comes back a 9.9 or a 10.0? Then guess what?
It's gone.
You can get a really big
It's gone. It's gone. I might even get the Daredevil 1 and the Amazing Batman Adventures 12. I might even do both if that happens.
Right.
So to answer the question, Bub, because you had asked me earlier.
Yep.
Right now I'm kind of going through a big overhaul in my collection, and I'm getting rid of a lot of my smaller keys. It's a lot more affordable for me to pick up a $50 key than it is for me to pick up a $500 key. So what I'm doing is, because over the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've really gone out and collected a lot of those $50 keys, or keys that were $10, $20 that have gone up to $50. And so I'm actually purging most of them out of my collection. Not my X-Men ones. Let's not get ridiculous. But
those are your babies.
But yeah, those are my babies. But so I did that recently, and in 1 week I was able to get up enough money to buy this book right here, which, by the way, DS, after that conversation that you guys had a couple months ago on this chat show right here, I watched this book right here. I'm not saying it's because of the chat show, but coincidences. But this book spiked about $100 within a week of that conversation on this chat show.
Yeah, I remember that, and I don't think we had that many viewers that would have caused that spike. But I'm really glad to see you own that now. That's awesome. I remember that.
Yeah. So the story with this goes, I found a private collector, and he has an amazing collection. So honestly, the best collection I've ever seen live, like in person. I mean, you walk in the room and the Hulk 1 hits you right in the face. The 5 copies of House of Secrets 92 hit you right in the face. The 7.0 Daredevil 1 plus 2 other copies of Daredevil 1 hit you right in the face. I mean, and I could just go on and on and on and on. And I will someday if you want me to. But I had gone there to buy Avengers 4 from him and some other books. And I didn't even know he had this book, and it was sitting there on his display rack. And I said, "Is this for sale?" He goes, "Well, you know, I could think about selling it." And I'm like, the guy was selling off all of his extras for a reason. That then I'm not going to get into that's his personal business, and I don't want to put that out on air. Nothing bad, just it's his business. And so I made him an offer of $900, and that's exactly what GPA was on this book at that time. And he turned it down. And so I ended up, of course, still buying the Avengers 4 and stuff. Well, he ended up getting a 4.5 copy a couple of months later. And he contacted me. He said, "Hey, that 2.5 is available now if you want to buy it." And I said, "Okay, how much?" And he goes, "Well, I want GPA of last sale, which was $1,000. And I mean, it's a month later. So it went up another 100. So this book has gone up $200 since December when I asked you guys that question. $200.
Yeah, the two books, I remember that chat. The 2 books I think I threw out were this one and Daredevil #1. Those are great investments, and people were looking for Silver Age, the keys, the first appearance Silver Age Marvel books. Everything else is going sky high. Where are they going to turn? Strange Tales 110, Daredevil 1 are right next on the list, and those are started to climb since we talked about those, but they're still undervalued. And if you want one and you can swing it, now is the time to get one, I think.
So my goal is by the end of the year to have the Daredevil 1 and the Tales to Astonish 27. That's my goal by the end of the year. They're still affordable. They're still under $2,000. In a nice presentable quality. I mean, honestly, this book looks like a 4.0. If it wasn't for this right here is a tape pull that I didn't even notice when I bought it, to be perfectly honest with you. It just, the way the colors go, it just kind of flows with it. It's like a little glue stain and a tape pull. But to be honest with you, I still think it presents awesome. I love the colors on it. And normally that would bother me on most books, but for whatever reason on this book, it doesn't bother me at all. And I'm really happy to own this. And for me, there's no sense in looking to upgrade it because I'm extremely happy with it. But the books that are kind of out of my reach now, that would be a huge grail of mine. Obviously, you have the big, what I call the big Marvel 4. One is a timely, the first Captain America from the Golden Age. Those books to me are the pipe dream books. But for me, a book that's attainable, but right now just not there for me anymore, that I'm going to really start working toward next year is Fantastic Four #5. Because I feel like I'm not in a position right now to be able to attain a Fantastic Four #1, which would be an amazing key to own. My friend Reaper Tate, we all know and love him. He has a copy. He got it right before the spike. I don't know what he paid for it, but I know he got it right before the spike. He gets everything right before the spike. He's very good at that. But I just have a feeling, especially now, I've actually considered switching gears, and instead of going after Ant-Man and Daredevil, to go after the Fantastic Four #5, because I just feel like once Endgame comes out, that book's untouchable. I just have that feeling that once Endgame comes out, they're going to announce the next phase of Marvel. Kevin Feige has already, alluded to comments saying that after Avengers Endgame, they're gonna give you what basically Phase 5 Marvel is going to look like. And I mean, what do we know? We know Black Panther 2, we know Spider-Man Homecoming, and we know Doctor Strange 2, and we know Guardians 3. And Black Widow. Those are the 5 movies we know after.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if you could go back.
But what's after that?
You could go back 2 years, and you could get the Fantastic Four #5 and number 48. Some of these books, even 18 months ago, nobody cared about Fantastic Four 48. Honestly, you could get like a 5.0 for $200. It's insane, and nobody was picking it up. Nobody cared. And it was still the first Silver Surfer. It always has been, but nobody cared about it. And then all of a sudden, The Fantastic Four 5 again. A couple of years ago, you could have picked a good copy up cheap, and now it's through the roof.
Well, there it is. For those of you who have never seen
this book alone right here, I picked this book up for $100, and it's going nuts. I picked this book up for $100 a couple years ago. It was on my last year's. Actually, it was last year. It wasn't a couple years ago. It was last year. And I could probably triple my money for this book now. And this book's not even in the greatest condition. It's nice presenting. It's got a little scuff on the side here, but it's going nuts. I mean, I see guys paying for 3.5s. They're paying almost $100 a point on this book. And it's not even his first appearance. It's a great cover. I absolutely love the cover, but it's not even his first appearance.
It's not even his solo story.
I paid. So for me, the book, like I said, Dr. Doom, his first, that's the book that I'm like kind of salivating to go after. Like that's my, and unlike, no offense, Roger, unlike Roger, I'm not afraid to spend the money on a book, but I have to have the money to spend.
No offense taken, buddy. No offense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Hey, so in February, Comic Connect auction, there was, or Comic Link, I can't remember. This is February, okay, a month and almost 2 months ago, almost a 5.0 Daredevil CGC Blue Label 5.0 Daredevil 1 sold for $14.50.
Wow,
that's what I'm saying. That book's right now. I mean, if I had the money, I'd be jumping on that just to hold it for 6 months and sell these. $1,400 is what a 5.0 went for. That's just crazy.
Well, the thing about Daredevil is Marvel now has the property back from Netflix, and they can't do anything. None of those actors can do anything with those properties for 2 years. So the question is, if Daredevil, if they really like Charlie Cox's Daredevil, and I think a lot of people did, then they have to wait 2 years to do anything with that character. Or they have to recast and redo everything. And I just think there's bigger projects right now. I think Daredevil is way on the back burner right now. I think you won't hear anything about him for the next 12 months. And I say that only because, right, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to talk about Daredevil, or are you going to talk about Fantastic Four and X-Men?
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you have, okay, so you have that Defenders project, basically. We'll call it the Defenders group. Right, the vigilante justice group, however you want to term it, which is very interesting, very fun. But let's be honest, in the level of superheroism, they're B characters. So you can have that B character group, or you can talk about the X-Men, or you can talk about the Fantastic Four and all the cosmic beings that come with that. And we're not even talking about Namor, because that's the one thing that drives me crazy is they still don't have Namor.
Yeah. But there's not too many people crying about that. I mean, I like him all right, but I mean, I think it's difficult it's a difficult character to translate in his original costume. I don't think too many people want to stare at that all day, especially not in IMAX. And then you got the other issue where it's still going to be I personally think that they're going to move away from actor-driven characters. I think that it was a mistake, even though it worked out to have Robert Downey Jr., the face of Iron Man, right? And it's still working out. Now you have all these issues where the characters have to be retired because the actors are being retired. And I think they're going to move away from that. I think you're going to see less Bruce Banner and more of the Hulk. You're going to see you're going to see more characters like Silver Surfer and people that are almost straight CGI. Groot will live on forever because you don't have to do much with the character when the actors change. And I think the same
There's only so many ways you can say I am Groot.
Yeah, right.
So they already have the voice recording.
I don't know why they paid so much to have one guy say it either. It was Vin Diesel voiced him. I thought that was ridiculous. What a waste of money. But in any case, I think that a character like Namor, who basically is nothing but a G-string bikini and a
Speedo.
That's all he is. So that means you're totally dependent on that actor and that character to continue on. And I think they're going to move away from stuff like that. We'll see more masked superheroes now, I think, in the next phase than unmasked superheroes. That's just my thought. Maybe.
I will say to some degree I agree with you, and some degree I disagree with you. everyone knew when they started this, there's no way they thought that they were going to go. That's why if you look at the age of the people they cast, Captain America, Chris Evans was a relatively young actor. Helmsworth was a young character, and they needed an older, wily veteran who could pull off the arrogance, and that's why they went, of course, with Robert Downey Jr. Now, I mean, they took a giant leap of faith with Robert Downey Jr., and I don't think anyone predicted it would go where it went. And honestly, what makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe so great, in my opinion, is the glue that holds it all together. It is Iron Man. That character, it was just perfect for him. And I think that because of that, I agree with you. They're looking for that next Iron Man. And I think they were hoping it was going to be Brie Larson with Captain Marvel, but she kind of screwed the pooch, in my opinion, in her press comments. So I think I'm not, and then I think they were looking at maybe Peter Quill and going in a cosmic direction. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could speculate with that, but then I've heard that he's wanting out. Chris Pratt is wanting out. So it's really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. But again, they got 10 years. And how many movies did they do? Off of one storyline. Let's think about that. All the Marvel movies are one story. And the story is Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. And it's going to end in the next movie. It's going to end. You know, ETA Nick said this. I don't remember. I had a personal conversation with him, and I don't remember if he said it to me or if he said it in one of his chats. He may have said it both. How long are they going to be able to get out of Galactus? I mean, think about that. An Atlantis storyline where Namor is the villain. Galactus storyline. You could have a Galactus storyline and think of how many movies, just individual movies you could have based off of him. How many over the years, how many different storylines? Everyone's going to look to this storyline right here, and they're going to say, well, this is the storyline. I mean, Marvel doesn't do that. The Marvel movies don't say, we're going to go with these 3 books, and we're going to make a movie based on this. No, they go with, well, let's look at the entirety of Galactus, and let's take the best parts of all these stories.
Yep.
We'll use this as our basis, but then how can we make individual stories to go into that? I mean, it genuinely would not surprise me at all now that they have all these entities, with the exception of Namor. I mean, literally, Namor is the only one they don't have, and that's because he was part of the Universal package with the Hulk, if I remember correctly. Think about Secret Wars. I mean, from my understanding, Secret Wars was the most revolutionary, greatest storyline miniseries of its day. Like when I got back into collecting 7 years ago, and I said, what's a great storyline to read to bring my kids into it? The guy said to me, Secret Wars. He didn't say Secret Wars 2 or the 10 that followed. He said Secret Wars. He said, buy that storyline, have your kids read it. They will be comic fans for life.
Yeah, that's the single best storyline of the 80s right there.
Crisis was better.
Oh, see, I like Secret Wars better, but I mean, you got Crisis is right there with it. But Secret Wars. How many movies could they get out of the Secret Wars? The first volume of Secret Wars.
As far as a movie,
so many awesome movies out of that.
As far as a movie, you're right. Secret Wars is going to be awesome when they do that. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Everyone's thinking Galactus, all this stuff. I'm thinking Secret Wars, and here's my theory on why Secret Wars. Iron Man's still young enough to do it. Spider-Man is perfect for it. Thor, you still can do him. Captain America would be the trick because reportedly, everyone is suspecting he's going to die in the movie, and that's fine. But I don't remember Captain America being a major part of Secret Wars. I mean, he was in there, but like what he did, I felt like other people could pick up those pieces, or they could just turn him over to the Winter Soldier.
I think you got to bring Doom in first through a Fantastic Four reboot. I mean, you're talking 4 years down the line before you can do that.
No, see, I'm saying every one of these movies after Endgame could literally have an end cutscene where the character disappears.
I just think that where you don't have Doctor Doom showing up, and I think he was important, obviously. So it's in the Secret Wars. And I don't think that they're going to reboot Doctor Doom for the third time in 10 years. It's just too soon, too much. I don't want to see Doctor Doom done again for a while. I hate how they treated him in both franchises. You know, he's had 3 movies where he was the villain in 10 years. I don't need to see a 4th, even if it's done right this time. You know, I don't need to see it.
Okay, but think of it like this, all right? Think of Venom. Venom's a villain. Like, make no mistake about it. Venom, for the first 10 years he was around, was not the good guy.
Yep.
Right?
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, you could kind of say with Lethal Protector, they started to move him toward that direction. And he was out, 5-6 years at that point because he was so popular. I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You make a great villain and people really like him and get into him, they're going to start turning him into superheroes so they can sell more books. I mean, the only one they're not doing that with is Carnage because he's so psychotic. But
not yet, at least.
But Stan Lee is on record for saying, and I remember seeing this in an interview and I found it very profound when they said, tell us something about the Marvel universe that people don't realize. And he said, Dr. Doom is a good guy. And they said, what? And he said, in Dr. Doom's mind, he's the good guy. He's trying to save the world his way. He's in his mind. He doesn't look at himself like he's a villain. He looks at himself like he's a good guy.
Very similar to Magneto.
Yeah, exactly. Magneto's not trying to save the world, though. He's just trying to save his race.
His world. He's trying to save his world.
Right.
His sphere.
So I absolutely Venom was wildly popular with a lot of fans, and even some like diehard fans were really happy with the Venom movie, which I found to be unusual because most usually diehard fans hate. So,
yeah.
But I really believe the Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't going to do a reboot of the Fantastic Four. I think they're going to do a Doctor Doom movie.
No, and
I really believe that.
Soon. It's too soon. You're not going to see another Doctor Doom on screen again with a 3rd different actor in a 4th movie in 10 years. No one wants to see that. And even the people that want to see that, they're all saying that the other movies were terrible and now it's going to be done right. You know, well, okay, now it's going to be done right, but it won't be the focus of a movie. And I'm not ready. I'll just speak for myself.
I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. I can't
psychologically not there.
Yeah, I'm
in the
last 3 movies he was in to see it again. I just can't do it.
Well, I have to be honest. The last movie was so bad I didn't get through 15 minutes of it.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
He was in there, and it was terrible.
It is honestly the worst comic book movie I've ever seen in my life. And I hate to even say that.
The original
Swamp Thing and FF, the one with Michael Jordan, they're neck and neck. I mean, honestly, it was a chore to get through that movie. It was almost like work to see that movie. That's how bad it was.
The Swamp Thing was so bad it's a cult classic. This one was just so bad it was literally bad. It was just
true. But they're both hard to watch.
Well, I'm not the biggest Swamp Thing fan. I think he's an awesome character, and I like the nostalgia of him. But like I've said many times before, I don't know much about DC. To me, the characters just aren't attractive because they're too powerful. But I do like the movies, and I guess because I don't know the storylines with the characters, I enjoy the movies because I don't know the storylines. Like I thought Aquaman was and Wonder Woman are 2 of the best superhero movies out there. I think they're fantastic.
All right, on that I'm done. If any of you have ever seen Aquaman, you can take Deadpool 2323's vote that it's one of the best superhero movies out there. Or after you're done watching it, you can send them all the hate mail you'd like.
But again,
it was the cheesiest, most like TV movie quality superhero movie I've seen in years. I thought it was a hodgepodge. That's what I worried about when Disney took over Marvel. I worried they were going to make a movie like Aquaman, and instead they didn't. I was
I
happy.
thought Aquaman was good. I didn't like Wonder Woman for the simple reason that they made her an idiot. Like she didn't understand anything. Like, oh my God, what is that? What's going on? Like she's retarded. Even if stuff she's never encountered before. She's not stupid. She's very smart.
They turned
I
both
didn't like that.
Both the female characters in those movies into Ariel from The Little Mermaid. You know, what's a shoe? I never seen one. It was terrible.
I liked Aquaman.
Hey,
I thought Aquaman was good, but I also like all the Fantastic Four movies. I rewatch them on a regular basis because I find them entertaining. I like them. I like the new one. I like the old one, the cheesy. I like them. I don't know. I think they're fun.
I like the old two. I like the two older ones, but I didn't like what they did with Doctor Doom. But I liked the Fantastic Four, and also the thing, his prosthetic head or whatever the heck that was. His suit was terrible and distracting. So I think, it had issues, but the newest Fantastic Four, I watched it once and I tried to watch it a second time and couldn't. It's pretty rough to me.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, the worst movies to me out there in these are the Wonder Woman for the reasons I stated. Deadpool 2, I thought was terrible, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, I hated. But pretty much all the other ones, I like all the other ones. Some of the DC ones. Justice League I didn't really like that much, and the Suicide Squad was pretty bad. But the Ant-Man and the Wasp was horrible to me, and Deadpool 2 was terrible. But I like pretty much all the other ones.
I can't agree with you more on Deadpool 2. I was so disappointed with that movie. I actually do enjoy watching it now, like rewatching it, just because there's so many one-liners that I missed. My favorite one-liner of all time actually comes from that movie. It's the best scene is in that movie. It to me is the funniest scene in any comic movie. It's the scene in that movie that I enjoyed, and it's the one where Domino is going to get on the runaway truck or whatever, and Deadpool's chasing, and he's like, "What kind of stupid power is luck? How could they possibly make that cinematic? It has no cinematic value." The guy that would come up with that is probably some kind of stupid artist who can't even draw feet. And I'd lost it. I was dying because there's only in that movie there was about 4 people laughing because they were the only 4 people who were actually comic book fans, right?
Yeah.
So I, that was the kind of things I enjoyed about that movie. But I want to go to the chat real quick. Century Stir Fry makes a good point, and they say comparing Doom to Darth Vader, where in Doom's, and I think that's more on point. I think you need a character more like Darth Vader to portray Doom, because I don't think they've ever portrayed him correctly in film. But I will say there's a lot of people agreeing with me about Aquaman in the comments there, Bubs. So, but
I don't care. That doesn't concern me at all. My point is that it was a successful movie, and if you're a big DC fan, then you were hard up for anything that would have been considered 3 stars or above. So, I mean, I'm with you. Suicide Squad was abysmal. When I was watching Suicide Squad, I felt like some neighborhood punk had come into my room, dug through my toy box, and played with all my toys the wrong way. Like that's how that's how it felt. I felt violated by that. It was a horrible, horrible movie. And if anyone wants to disagree with that in the chat, you're welcome. But there's everyone.
I agree with you. I mean, I did not enjoy that. The only good part about that movie was being able to see Harlequin. And visually, other than that, it wasn't a good movie.
I thought that was a terrible portrayal of Harley Quinn, of the Harley Quinn that I like, which is more the original Harley Quinn. And the Joker was terrible.
Yeah, the Joker was bad. The Joker was really bad. You're right there. I agree with that.
Was obnoxious. It was a good Will Smith movie if I could pretend that the rest of it didn't have anything to do with comic book characters.
Yeah, it almost seems like that movie they geared towards more of a younger pop culture audience than a comic book audience, because it when you watch it, you don't feel like you're watching a comic book movie. It's like a movie with a bunch of characters that resemble the Suicide Squad, but it's like a movie made for the younger, more sort of pop culture crowd than it is even a comic movie. So it didn't resonate with me.
I thought it was very strange that they made that movie, especially after I saw it. I didn't get it. It's not. I didn't think it was horrible, but I just didn't get it. I don't see what the purpose of the movie is.
I just think because Harley Quinn at the time, and still now and before it, but at the time, that was the peak of Harley Quinn mania. That was the most popular comic book character out there.
Okay, then why
Harley Quinn? So they capitalized on. Well, I know, but I mean, I think they just figured they wanted to throw the Joker in and have some of these other.
She got lost in the shuffle so many times.
I think part of that too. I think part of that too is if you're gonna have a Harley Quinn in a movie, you almost feel obligated to have a Joker in there.
Yeah,
and I think they are having a very hard time casting the Joker. And they took a gamble and going into a completely different direction because let's face it, in my opinion, for the Marvel universe, the best portrayal of any character is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and he's second overall to Heath Ledger as the Joker for me. Some people may disagree, and that's fine. Disagree, and that's fine. But that portrayal is legendary. It's iconic. It can't be replicated. It can't be duplicated. And it's almost so good that because of his passing, you want to stay away from that character. And people used to say that about Jack Nicholson, right? People used to say that about his portrayal of the Joker from the late 80s. And look, they went, 10, 15 years. They stayed away from that character because of Jack Nicholson.
Well, yeah, but I think Jack Nicholson did good on the Joker, but there's so many different Jokers throughout history that they modeled each one after a different version of the Joker. And I think Jack Nicholson was pretty spot on for the Joker from the time. They sort of made it like a Silver Age sort of Joker in that movie, which I think he was pretty spot on with that. But, as time goes on, the Joker changes. There's been so many iterations of the Joker, but
I think if you look, and I hate to even compare these two because it's really an injustice in my opinion, but Jared Leto's Joker, they tried to visually make like Detective 880.
Yeah, they did.
And the problem is he just couldn't pull it off. I'm sure Jared Leto would make would make a great character in a comic book universe. That wasn't the one for him. And I visually didn't like it. The way everything about him was just abysmal. But I'll say this: they're not targeting you and me.
No,
they're absolutely not targeting you and me as their audience. They're targeting my kids. And every one of the movies we're talking about, my kids went and saw in the theaters and liked every one.
Yeah,
and they want to go to another one. I mean, you guys know I am not a DC fan. Not because I hate it, but I just didn't grow up with it. I grew up with Marvel, and I just don't have the money to get into everything.
Well,
the
Christopher Nolan Batman, the Christopher Nolan Batmans are the best superhero movies in modern times, in my opinion.
Oh,
those
I love
stand alone as great movies. Yep. Even if they have nothing to do with comic, you can watch them and not know anything about Batman.
Yeah, that's true.
They're enthralling, awesome movies. And he's a great Batman, Bale, because he's the detective. He's the badass. He's, sort of somber, but he can, he's got everything that Batman has. But even without that, those are just phenomenal movies. They're well done. They're dark, just the right amount. They're serious. They have cool action, and everything about those movies is the best.
I have a buddy of mine that absolutely hates every one of those movies because he hates Christian Bale as a Batman.
Yeah, I can't.
And I personally think, out of all the Batmans I've seen, he's been the best. I mean, taking Adam West out of it from, our childhood days, but I can't stand Batfleck. I can't stand him. Batfleck.
Comic Geek McD is saying that he also likes Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck is a good actor. I like him in everything, and I also like him as Batman. I think him and Christian Bale are my two favorites.
That's what I was getting at is I hate him as Batman, but I love him, absolutely love him as Bruce Wayne. And I don't know how to differentiate that, but I think he plays Bruce Wayne phenomenal, but he can't play Batman. I can't stand him as Batman. But part of that might be I hate his costume too. The costume they chose for him, I did not like when they went with back to the gray.
Yeah. They don't seem to be doing as much detective stuff. I mean, Batman and Bruce Wayne is like he's one of the world's greatest detectives. They're not doing that with Ben Affleck. It's not like he's not doing any detective work really. He's just doing action scenes with cool toys and different suits that are real bulky too. And
I agree.
You know, Christian Bale as Batman, they had a lot of, like, those movies are not mostly action. They're mostly detective stuff. The Ben Affleck, there's no detective element to the Batman anymore. And he's not just, you know, going out and kicking ass. He's also the world's best detective. And that's what's lacking in these new Batman movies.
Well,
I don't see that.
I tell you what I don't like are the tank versions of the Batmobile. I hated the Nolan series for the Batmobile and the Batplane, and I thought
that Bat motorcycle was awesome.
The motorcycle was cool. That was it.
I love that the Batmobile, especially how in the Nolan movies where he
it made no sense. Like, where are you gonna park that thing? That thing is huge. That is the most. You know, they're like, oh well, look how agile it is. Yeah.
Hey, Bub.
In a street.
Bub, I have to point this out because I point this out to everyone who ever makes these comments. Where are you going to? You're asking for logic in a comic book movie.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is that DS is saying that those movies are good because they're standalone movies. They don't have to necessarily be comic book related. They're standalone movies, and I think that when you're going to make that comment, then you have to tie in some element of realism that makes it more real. You know, and I think that they were trying to do that with the Bat gadgets that they use and the Batmobile and the Batwing. They tried to make it more realistic, saying, well, really, a regular car is not going to be that bulletproof or that indestructible. He would have to drive a tank, so let's give him a tank. And I say, that's the Bat tank. It's not a Batmobile. There's nothing mobile about it.
Oh, but it was so cool when he got in the basement there with Morgan Freeman, and he gets in this military prototype that is meant to span rivers with bridges. So it's a military vehicle, and he gets in it and drives it around underneath the first time. That is such a badass vehicle.
It is.
He pimps it out as the Batmobile. That was an awesome Batmobile.
It's not Batmobile.
Yeah, I have to completely agree with DS on that. I out of all the Batmobiles, it's my favorite. But I get what you're saying. It's such a drastic change, and that's the one thing that I think the mistake that DC makes more than Marvel is when they make a change, they make it so drastic that people who only know it a little bit are like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
DC does great on TV. They're great for serials. They're great for long, drawn-out stories, all about character development. DC is great for that. Marvel is great for action-packed movies, in my opinion. Once you stick to TV and once you stick to movies, and nary the two shall meet. That's what I think.
All right, so there's one more movie that was actually so bad that it is good of these superhero movies. Some of them are bad that they're just bad, and they're so bad they're just terrible. There's one that's so bad that it actually is good, and that is Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. That movie is so horrible, it's actually good. I love it because it's just so bad.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
That movie is phenomenally cool to watch because it's so bad. It's just so cheesy, and it's just awesome. I love it.
I couldn't get through that movie. I couldn't do it. I tried several times, and I couldn't do it.
DS, I think you're on your own. We're having trouble with Deadpool 23's audio. Are you there? Deadpool 23, are you there? He's not there. So we're having difficulty. So you're gonna have to fight this battle on your own, DS, and I'll just go ahead and tell you you're gonna lose because I'm telling you, the only one that I'll say is so good that it's bad or so bad that it's good is what's that one? The Batman Forever. That one is so good that one's so bad that it's good.
Which one is that? Which one is that again?
That's the one with Val Kilmer, Batman.
Oh, yeah, that one's just bad.
That's the one with Alicia Silverstone. Is that the one?
Yeah.
It's Batman and Robin. Listen, those are all really so bad to me that I mix all three up. To me, they're just one big mosh pit of badness. So I mix them all up. I mean, Val Kilmer, Clooney. Who was the other guy? Steve Rogers. Who was the other guy? I don't even know.
Steve Rogers.
I don't even know who it was, Mr. Rogers. I mean, who knows what was in that suit?
Well, yeah, Michael Keaton.
He couldn't even move his neck.
Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, and
Tommy Lee
George
Jones.
Clooney.
No, Michael Keaton was pretty good, I thought. Michael Keaton was pretty good.
Yeah, Batman, the first Batman was good, but Batman 2, the portrayal of the Penguin was abysmal.
How did you get your mic working. I mean,
yeah.
2023 back. We're in good shape.
I don't know.
I have
Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze was phenomenally cool.
Oh my gosh.
So awesome. I mean, that is just like
Yeah.
a masterpiece of cheese in movies. It's so fun to watch. Even the effects, the makeup.
Hey guys,
And he had that cheap blue glowing stuff on his suit. So cool.
It was horrible.
I just want to know one thing. How is it that the first comic book movie I ever saw, which was horrible by today's standards, but I loved as a kid, we haven't even brought up, and that's Howard the Duck.
I love that movie. I
love that movie.
Oh yeah,
that was a great movie. You have to take it. You have to take it as satirical, of course. Did you read the Howard the Duck comics?
No, I didn't even know it was a comic book movie till I became an adult.
If you have to read the Howard the Duck comics to get the movie, that's true. You need an education before you can see that movie. That's true, because otherwise it's terrible. But if you look at Howard the Duck and how off the wall and satirical it is, the movie kind of shadowed that.
Hey, I have to say there's nothing terrible about the late 80s with Leah Thompson at all.
Well, yeah, you'll get no argument with me on there, but and you also have, that other actor, very young actor, what's his name? He was on the Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, Tim
Robbins. Yep.
Tim Robbins. Yeah.
You know, speaking of late '80s, Leah Thompson, I think she's in her late '80s now. So, Duck had a shot at her in her best days. You might be a runner-up these days. Just saying.
Is that a shot at us older folks, Bub?
No,
I don't know if that's. I don't know if it's a shot at me or a shot at Leah there.
It's a shot at Leah.
I got a feeling it's a generational shot to me. That's
no,
the way I
had a huge crush on Leah Thompson. I'd tell you my two favorite comic book female characters, because they weren't superheroes, when I was growing up was when I was younger. It was Leah Thompson in Howard the Duck, and then when I was a little older, it would have been The Mask. What's her name? Cameron Diaz in The Mask. Holy cow, that set me on fire. Still does if I watch it again, I reckon. But yeah, good stuff.
It's cool.
You guys don't remember her, do you? That's probably
I do. I remember her. Sure, I remember her. Yeah, I remember. But I remember like Valerie Perrine and Superman, and she was, the bombshell there.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Miss Tessmacher.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was. You're right.
Her hair was terrible.
Miss Tessmacher.
That movie was really good. I mean, it was good anyway. It was a super cool movie, but Gene Hackman makes that movie.
Oh yeah,
he makes all of those movies.
He makes almost every movie he's in, but yes, he makes those movies.
That's a good point.
Valid chat too. Superman or Christopher Reeves as Superman was also amazing casting and a great role.
Yeah, that's a really rock solid superhero movie. It cast really well, and it was good acting and really good writing for the script on that one. The dialogue was witty, and it was
falls apart at the end. The third act, it falls apart.
What, Superman 3?
No, Superman 1. Towards the end where he starts going back in time and all that stuff. It's a solid movie until the last 10 minutes.
I mean, he flies around the Earth so fast, he reverses the rotation of the Earth, goes back in time to save Lois. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I wasn't having it.
But you got to grant them artistic license in that movie because that is strictly based on the comic book. I mean, that's pretty much right out of the comic books, that Superman, and it's accurate and it's good. It's well acted.
Have you guys ever see the expanded version where, like when he finds Luthor and he goes down into those the subway train areas, he gets pelted by like 50 different devices to try to stop him, and they took that out of the. Oh,
I never saw that.
Yeah, he gets hit by like these bombs, by ice, by everything, and he still makes it there. By the way, he just doesn't go there.
I thought we were talking about the Donner cut of number 2, which I've seen.
Well, that's a different one. That's a different.
I didn't know there was an alternate cut of number 1.
Yeah, the Donner cut is when they give the villains over to some kind of North Pole police or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's lots of changes in that one. It's pretty good. The Donner cut, it doesn't hold up 100%, but look at that big treasury, guys, coming in.
Woohoo! Nice.
There you go. You're welcome. You pay extra for that in some chats.
There you go.
All right, we gotta end this chat. Mrs. DS is starting to
She
plan.
actually came down here and she's like, "Let's go. I'm making dinner." So I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to say bye now and just skedaddle. So,
all right.
Great chat. I'll see you all next
Everybody,
week. Thanks
take care.
everyone who was here.
Thanks,
Good seeing you, DS.
All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down. We got to get rolling. Thanks, Deadpool, for jumping in there and extending the chat another 46 minutes. And thank you, Roger, for always being with
just
us.
woke up. We got to take them however we can get them.
It's rough. So thank you all, and we'll catch you next week on the No Faces comic chat. Until then, read comics and greeting and be blessed and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
See you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, Aaron. Take care, buddy.
Bye.